Critical thinking and creativity are often important considerations in the educational context and in professional contexts. Often, critical thinking and creativity have been associated. One of the ways of creativity or developing creativity or exhibiting creativity is creative writing. So, as a result, creative writing is often an important part of the educational curricula. Now, what is critical thinking and what is creative writing, and what is actually the link between critical thinking and creativity? These are some of the questions that we will briefly respond to in this presentation. So, first of all, critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking basically is the process of thinking that is deep, that goes beyond the surface, that is rational, which actually means that there is rational analysis involved in the process of critical thinking. Such type of thinking is objective. Then it is independent, which actually means that such type of thinking involves the effort on the part of the thinker to get to get facts and to get to reality independently of the opinions of others, and sometimes also independently of the opinion of the critical thinker, him or herself. Then critical thinking is also multifaceted, which actually means that the critical thinker thinks about phenomena, social phenomena, or natural phenomena in a multifaceted way, looking at the various angles, the various sides of the social or natural reality. And most importantly, the process of critical thinking is based on the characteristic of being inquisitive. So critical thinkers are inquisitive. They are interested in thinking about questions related to social and nature phenomena, and then trying to find answers. So they have this academic, scientific interest in finding and getting to the roots of social phenomena or reality. Creative thinking, on the other hand, is something that reflects the originality of thinking, which actually means thinking beyond the traditional way of thinking. There is ingenuity. So creative thinkers are ingenious. Their thinking is ingenious, and this is based on imagination. So there is a lot of involvement of the role of imagination, and so this type of thinking is actually thinking out of the box or out of the traditional ways of thinking. So you can see that we can see that there is a kind of relationship between critical thinking and creative thinking. Now we are moving to the next part of it, and that is critical thinking and creative writing. As I said in the beginning, that creative writing is perhaps one of the ways in which there is an exhibition of the creativity of the creative writer. So creative writing is one way in which a person can actually show their creative abilities. So now, critical thinking basically focuses on finding out causes and consequences of social and natural phenomena. And as a result, there is the involvement of analysis or breaking down complex situations, complex social and natural phenomena into its parts in order to understand it. And then asking questions such as what is happening? Why is it happening? Or you can also say, why is something not happening if you are doing something and the result is not coming up? What is working? Why is something not working? For example, the way you want to work it. And so you have to break down the whole process or the whole situation into its parts in order to understand it. Then what, if any, is the link between ideas, occurrences, and or practices? So how is one idea related to another one occurrence or one incident related to another incident, and so one practice related to another practice? For example, in the educational context, for example, what practice of a teacher is related to what result on the part of the student, and so on. Then creative writing is basically writing and presenting ideas that are based on imagination. So as I said in the beginning, imagination actually involves thinking out of the box, coming up with new ideas, coming up with new ways of thinking about ideas or about social and natural phenomena. And an example of this could be fictional writing, such as novels or poetry, where generally, so there is some background of the novelists or the poets or other creative writers in critical thinking as well, because they think critically on the natural and social phenomena. But then there is creativity where they think out of the box and come up with something that seems entirely new. Now, lastly, we just need to kind of associate these two concepts, critical thinking and creative writing. And so generally, for critical thinking, we need to have enough adequate knowledge related to the particular field or subject that we are interested in terms of analyzing it. And we need to have good understanding or comprehension. We need to then break down information into its parts in order to analyze, to make analysis, to do analysis, to understand. Then also, this actually helps. This is something that is mostly academic and restricted in nature, in comparison to creative thinking, which is actually based on the synthesis or the combination of ideas in order to understand the whole. And so that involves the use of imagination, and so that's you can say that imagination generally is not as restricted as we are restricted when we are thinking about particulars in terms of dividing or exploring the parts of it. And so then there is creativity that is involved, going out of the box. And lastly, generally, creative writing is writing that is generally non-academic and non-restricted, which actually gives more freedom to the writer to write out of the ideas out of the box, to link ideas, to come up with new ideas, to think beyond the social, economic, and political boundaries that are in place in the contemporary environment around these writers. So that is something that takes creative writing one step beyond critical writing, critical thinking and critical writing. And so what we can say is that critical thinking actually makes the base of creative writing, but creative writing goes one step ahead of it by creating new natural and social phenomena that are then open to critical thinking. And so we see that in many cases there are poets and there are novelists who create poetry, who create novels, and who create other forms of creative writing. And then there are critical thinkers or critics who actually analyze that, keeping in view the particular socio-cultural environments in which those pieces of creative writing have been written.